Hello.
Hi.
Good to see you
Hello,
guys.
world. Good to see you
Hi.
both. Good to see everyone out there. I wonder where we go today, Shahana and Trina. There's a lot going on around the hegemony.
Yes.
So much. So much. I just
We'll
go,
go where the path takes us.
exactly. They go with the flow. Go with the flow. Um, and welcome to everybody who's logged on to Hegemony Revealed, where we talk about all things that kind of show us our current reality and how to create a new one that we want to live in. You know. Anyways, I just love working with these two people. They're awesome. um,
Repeat,
kind of
repeat.
yes, Shahana said some really amazing things before we went on about how she loves how we're co-creating and collaborating and outside of this ideology and hegemony, and it's refreshing. Let's just put it that way. Let's put it that way. So what who wants to jump in with the tomfoolery that's going on? It's so
Ah,
much.
There's- there is so much. Shahana, I don't know. I'm going to put a little seed in because it happened this morning.
yes.
If
Okay.
Levi Strauss using AI for their inclusion-based models. Here we go. Like, who wants that? And thank you to Shireen for posting that on LinkedIn. But I'm I'm just like, is that not everything that's wrong with diversity, equity, inclusion?
Let's not pay black models. Let's just put them in as a computer simulation. Unbelievable.
Oh my
I
God.
I will never. I'm not down with the AI. It just gets more ridiculous the more stuff comes up. I just can't.
And ah, and I keep talking about the tyranny of technology and how that keeps repeating the patterns of supremacy and hegemony because, well, that's the data the large language models are feeding it. They're being trained on the existing data arising from the current patterns of supremacy. And these are not conscious beings. They are just creating a pastiche from all the existing data very fast, very smartly. But no one really knows and or will know in some time whether it's all a bunch of BS or anything worth thinking about because there isn't any human consciousness behind it, human creativity, the pain of creation. They might replicate a Van Gogh that looks like Van Gogh, but they don't have a Van Gogh's ear that he chopped off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And why he chopped off, and the
And
pain and the
why? And the
suffering,
pain and the
and
stuff that he went through. So
exactly.
ultimately, it's just regurgitating from everything that's existing on the internet and
Mm-hmm.
without attribution,
Mm-hmm.
without copyright,
Mm-hmm.
very freely using our data created by us and profiting from it
Yeah, I
by
didn't even
a
think about it.
handful sitting in that goddamn Silicon Valley ruining this planet. I rest my case.
Yes, boom.
Sorry,
Shahana's arrived. Shahana's arrived. I love it today.
sorry, sorry for the rant, but
Uh, it's
Spot on.
okay. It's well deserved. I'm so over the lack of consciousness about things. Come on. Do we really expect the system that currently is oppressing us to create things that are going to uplift us? It's not meant
create.
for us. It's just another vestige of laziness that came with colonialism. They said, "Meh, we don't want to do
Ah,
the work."
I
Let's
know.
enslave a bunch of other people to do it. Not pay them. Not even give them a pat on the back.
Yep.
Nothing.
And
Let's
it's
just
a
profit.
bunch of men who are kind of stuck in their adolescence mentally and playing around with AI and stuff like toys. You know how
Mm,
children would play with toys and they don't know if it's dangerous or not.
right.
And we've recently read cases, very, very sad cases of babies accidentally shooting others.
Yes.
And these are
Yes.
not babies, these are just stupid men stuck in adolescence and in their wild imaginings of ruling this planet with AI and God knows what other tools, just because they have the money and just because they can. But
Yeah.
should we do everything we can?
No. I'm like, I'm ready to revert back. I don't know about you, Gary. I'm ready to
Mm-hmm.
revert back. It's time to step back and start going back to our roots and kind of just fix the foundation. I think we need to uproot what we have now, which is what they're doing. I had a conversation with somebody about the SVB bank failing, and all of the other banks starting to go, ring the alarm. Who's printing the money?
There you go.
We look at who runs the Federal Reserve? Who makes these decisions? We never ask about who actually is pulling the strings to say, this is what we need to do.
Yep.
And it's like I'm talking about the Grand Awakening. They're working on the Great Reset to get us so much on the bottom, so impoverished, so dystopian. That's why we have all this media and movies, dystopia. So we're desperate and we're compliant when we're desperate.
Yep.
And they blow it up just to rebuild it in a new way for them. It's the system that matters, not the people.
Yep. Always. Always.
Always.
I love
Gary,
this
what are
trip.
we going to do about it?
Oh my God, what are we going to do? Do you know something? I always love this, right? Because what I
Yeah.
love about both of you, and I love about this ability, right, to come together as we are. And if you're joining us, drop your comments in, drop your ideas. We want to engage you as well. But the thing I find most interesting, and I was thinking about this morning, the very thing that those with power think is going to keep us in bondage is the thing that is starting to set us free. Technology. Like,
Yep.
how the heck would we have done this 10 years ago?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And so don't get me wrong, I'm not naive. Like, there's
Yep.
a collapse phase coming. Like, we're in it in the West for
Yeah.
sure. The global
Yeah.
South's been in it for 600 years, right? So it's happening. But what's emerging for me really interesting, I'm going to bring this to life, right? I still work in corporate. I see the obsession with digitalization, speed, urgency, acquire, growth, all of these stories, the old world, right? The collapse narrative. At the same time, there is zero zero work being done around mindset, vulnerability, listening, reconnection to heart, head, and gut. There is nothing being done around our humanity. Absolutely nothing. So it's really intriguing for me. And this is the opportunity in all of this,
Yep.
is the more we can get people into this conversation, the more people realize, oh, Trina, Garry, and Shahana, they're not judging me. They're trying to give me a key to see a way forward. Oh my God, and that key's actually inside me. Oh my effing goodness. And I think we're at this really interesting pivot point where people are realizing the key's not actually over there. It's not with £1 million salary. It's not over in, on Mars somewhere. Like, it's sitting right in plain sight inside of them, but they just don't realize.
Yes. And just to pick your point, Garry, what you started with, technology is also a key. It is a facilitator of exactly what we're doing right now from across the planet, from 3 different continents. What has happened is human hubris, with its thinking that everything can be stretched beyond a limit. There is a limit. we never seem to understand limits. Limit of this planet, limit of ourselves, limit of excavation, limit of using the planet as a resource, as a dumping ground. Similarly, technology, when used in collaboration and conjunction with us, with humans, is immensely powerful as a facilitator, but it's a facilitator. Why are we trying to make the slave the master? And I'm using here the words in a very dystopian sense of what is happening today. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost as if technology, we are trying to make it seem like technology is taking over, almost as if technology had some kind of a consciousness of its own and is progressing by itself. And it is not a few people tinkering in some labs and creating some things. We completely don't see, like Trina just said, the invisible hands pulling the strings. It is not technology taking over out of thin air. It is again some people deciding to invest in certain kinds of technology and in certain kinds of technology powered whatever, as opposed to certain other kinds of technology. Let's say taking water to all the villages, and let's say taking electricity to all the villages, or let's say making education accessible to all the remotest parts of the world. We are not
Mm-hmm.
focusing on that, but we want AI when 3 billion people can't eat. Awesome.
Yeah, it's such a poor direction of priorities that it's comical sometimes. It's just absolutely comical. And the way that they sell it is just how the hegemony sells everything,
Yep.
with gaslighting,
Yep.
with lies of we're going to save the world with this, the potential of this technology. But they never use it for the potential of humanity. They use it to aggrandize a few billionaires that are already billionaires. The fact that
Exactly.
we have billionaires is sacrilege. We shouldn't
Yep.
have billionaires. We should have people housed, fed, and cared for equally. And there's nothing stopping that from happening except for 5 or 6 families on top
Yep. And
who
it's
who
weird
are
that
psychopathic.
first you first you completely rob the planet, you steal every possible goddamn resource for a handful, and then you pretend to save the planet by weird inventions of weird technologies that takes
Mm,
even more energy to produce and create, and
exactly.
rather than just stopping all the goddamn anti-planetary, anti-life stuff. Just stop.
Hmm.
But
Like I
no,
said,
then where
just
does
stop.
the capital go? And then all of this gaslighting happens under the invisible hand of the market, you see. It's invisible.
Ugh,
And the free market must exist. Never mind if free humans don't exist.
mm, I love that.
Trina, I've got to ask you, as our resident EQ expert, I'm always curious about what Shahana just shared, what you shared earlier, and this thing about open question, would
Hmm.
we be making these decisions? Would we be so far away from the global majority in our thinking if
Hmm.
we allowed ourselves to feel,
Mm, mm.
in the West in
Well,
particular?
yeah. And feelings have been suppressed, oppressed from the very beginning. I mean, when I think about how much trauma on your side of the continent the people suffered under before they even got on those boats, Garry, they had to shut it all off. They had it shut it down to even breathe, to get up in the morning, to toil, to cope with just being alive. And their lives were so short compared to now, of course. Um, but to get those really hurt and traumatize people to go out on boats and leave their country and leave their land and leave their families because they owed a debt. This debt credit thing started there, you know. It started in Europe, where your life was measured by your worth in servitude, by your how strong your back was, or how fertile your womb was. You know, the raping, the pillaging. I know that other places in the world had these spats, but no other country. What was it called? The 100-Year War or something like that? It was just constant conflict and pain and suffering. But it was isolated. It was isolated, you know? And that is really what kept Europe in the Dark Ages for so long. This shut down and disconnect. And that's what traumatized people do. They shut down and disconnect from emotions to be able to survive. To be able to survive. If they didn't, imagine if they didn't, how much worse it would be. And unfortunately, the people who were perpetuating this were the most psychotic. The most psychotic. I can't really, and I don't want to really understand what was going on in the psyche of people that saw their own people as so disposable. How painful that must be. And it's still perpetuated. It's still perpetuated. And so, you know, I always say, sometimes I say hashtag colonialism ruined the world. But there's always, but this happened, and but this happened, and industry happened. How much of that do we actually need? I see these poor children in Africa toiling to get cobalt for our fancy cell phones and our iPads and our iCar, our Teslas and all these things. Barely surviving children. And now I see states like, what was it? Is Missouri or Mississippi? One of the states, back-assward states, are trying to take children back into labor. Like letting kids, you didn't see that one, Garry?
Didn't see that one, Trina. Wow.
New legislation trying to be passed to force children back into pre-industrial times where kids were in coal mines, slaving away. This isn't America. Come on now. If you can't see how just they don't matter, they're just little objects. Legislation, I can't even. You know, we say I can't fathom what is wrong with these type of politicians and these people who think this is okay. And I'm not about identity politics, right, left, GOP, Democrats. It's all the same puppeteer controlling the narrative. So the fact that it can get through to even have a conscious conversation is astounding. So on an EQ level, bring it back to the original question because it gets emotional for me sometimes. If there was this sense of self-awareness, if there was a reconnection of self, of mind, body, and spirit, that trinity, we wouldn't be having these conversations right now. Because we would know that the mind needs healthy, non-toxic food in order to function, to process thoughts and emotions in a coherent way. The body needs to move and feel and do its functions. And our spirit is connected to all of that. One of those things out of alignment is going to mess up the Trinity. It's any one of those things. And right now, every last one of them is out of alignment on the planet. Our earth is our body.
Yeah.
Our consciousness is our mind. Our global consciousness is our mind. I just told my son this morning, he really likes these videos of, on YouTube. And, I've gotten to the point where he's too old where I can't censor everything that he watches. I'd love to be able to, but I also want to have a loving relationship with my kid. So I say, when you watch these things, what's going on in your body? How is it making you feel? Are you aware? Do you tense up? Are you euphoric? What's going on in your body when you watch these things? Does it make you feel happy? Or are you getting a little bit agitated and angry? And what's going on? Because there's such a disconnect, because they flash the bright colors and they make the fast imagery and they do something stupid to make them laugh and fall down or whatever. We're just really disconnected about how that affects us.
Yeah.
And how it's affecting the psyche. And I said, did you know that our powers, our words have power, that our actions have power? So when you start watching that stuff and you start thinking those thoughts, you're creating a reality for yourself that has a domino effect. That's why they're showing you, because they're trying to keep you in the current cycle of insanity, because we lack the awareness to see that it's insane. And he gets it, but he's like, Mom, you're ruining my fun.
Yeah.
It's just funny. I said, yeah, that's what they want you to think. It's just funny, but it's not. And Mom's a wet blanket. But if I don't tell you, and if I just don't plant the seed of consciousness around it, you won't be able to discern. You can watch it, but can you discern while you watch it?
That's the crux of it.
Mm-hmm. It's frightening. I'm ready to create a new reality.
Yeah.
I'm ready to create a new reality, you
And
know?
yeah. And I keep saying every choice we make creates the world we want.
Mm-hmm.
Every single choice. And like you said, Trina, the choice to watch a video, the choice to be or live in a certain kind of way, the choice to do to the planet what is being done are all choices. They are not happening out of thin air by some invisible alien hand, though they often feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
And this complete disconnect between our emotions, our feelings, our somatic senses, our body, from what is happening outside of us is so frightening because I mean, I see even in organizations, right? Every time you think of emotions, it's like, oh, keep emotions outside. It's almost as if they want walking, talking zombies to walk in through the door
Mm-hmm.
and do something using only their cognitive whatever, as if your mind or brain can exist and function without a healthy body and without a healthy gut. And it is almost frightening how deep rooted this story is, that the moment you mention something about caring or vulnerability or love in an organization, everyone is almost petrified.
Mm.
You
Or roll
see
their
these,
eyes. Oh, hippie.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, either they're rolling their eyes or they are completely avoiding eye contact because they are so uncomfortable with the thought of feelings. And I'm like, do you mean to tell me that brain of yours is functioning without this body and its feelings? I mean,
Mm.
does it kind of exist on a bamboo pole outside of you? What? And that,
It's a great visual, Shahada. It's a great
I
visual.
mean, what? I mean, your body is here and it's like, okay, here's my brain. Please use it for the next 8 hours. Then I'll pop it back into my body when I go out of the door. I mean, how?
Mm-hmm.
Oh God. This is why I love. This is why I love being with you two, right? Because, like, again, right, no one's trying to be right, right? This is the whole point. I hope people understand that with the three of us coming together, we're just exploring the ridiculousness of hegemony and how pervasive, and it's the water we swim in, right? We say that a lot, right? This stuff is so handed down over the generations, we don't even realize it's happening. And I'm just like, I'm so grateful for this space because it makes me feel sane. Like my head is in my body again and not on a bamboo
Yes.
pole over there. But as you both know, it used to be, right? I spent 25 years with it over there on a pole because I didn't know how to feel because of the hegemony. Yeah. I didn't know after being bullied as a kid, it was okay to cry, that it was okay to say, I need help. Like that type of, I call it simple awareness, like to even just recognize that you're pushing or suppressing something in your body. That took me 25 years, Trina,
Wow.
to go like, oh my God. And by the way, a piece of technology did not point that out for me. It was my body. So yeah, this stuff runs deep, right? And that's why we need these
Right.
conversations. Why we need these
Yep.
conversations.
Yeah. And if
Maybe.
speaking of body, if you don't take care of your body will take care of you.
Yep. 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 Maybe we
Mm.
need a piece of technology to wear on our, like, this fitness bands, which will say, hey, your brain is again floating away. Pop it back. Something like that. Or, show
I'm
us
sure there's a
parameters
way.
for.
Well, as I'm talking about the other day when we were we were WhatsApping, and I had the ice cream truck in the background laughing to myself. They must be like cracking up, ding 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 ding, as I'm talking about all this, like trying to be profound in this thought process of an expression. But it's like I'm trying, I just watched this really interesting documentary on how the US government knows that we live in a multi-dimensional, a multi-conscious world. And they had secret documents, and they were working with doctors and scientists for years to access these multi-dimensions. And, astral projector was a whole project. I wish I could remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure anybody watching this can find it. So basically, you know, they they can astral project and spy on people because it's all about the war and military and dominance and stuff like that. But it's like I've been trying to hone this thing for quite a few years, and not quite there. But you know, imagine being able to take your consciousness out of the body. And in Egyptology, which I was obsessed with, you have the Ka and the Ba, and one leaves the other, and this is ancient technology, or um, science, shall I say, of being aware that we're more than just the body. You know, our consciousness is the true power, and that is the true manifester of all realities. So you can literally create new realities by doing this. What would that look like?
Yep. Yep. And like you said, Trina, every word, every thought has power because that's energy, that's frequency, that's vibration. So every time we have these discussions, we may not know it, we may not tangibly know X people, X number of people heard us and were influenced, and three out of whatever 10 people
Mm-hmm.
started following us, or whatever. We may never know that. We
Mm-hmm.
may not, but I do believe that every word that we are speaking here into the ether has the vibrational capacity to subvert the current, I won't call it reality, this current delusion,
Mm-hmm.
and co create for us and others like us. Because it's again the ripple wave of energy that attracts similar
Mm-hmm.
ripples, similar frequencies. And that's quantum physics. That's not even, where two atoms separated across distances can still vibrate in the same frequency.
Resonance.
That's
Yeah.
Yep. So
Mm.
I deeply believe that there are others like us who are also vibrating. And as more and more such things happen,
Mm-hmm.
these are going to intersect. And that's when I believe that's the co-creation already happening at a global level,
Mm.
as long as we keep doing our bit on our earth body.
Shahana, the back of my neck just went crazy. You talk about resonance energy, the whole of the back of my spine just went
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
as you were sharing that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think we need to go to wrap up now, just to honor your time and everybody's time. I just want to make a comment that we're going to be back. We've got a regular cadence. If you're watching this live or watching it back from the 17th of May, that's when we'll be next be back. And we've got a great regular cadence coming up every 2 weeks, every second Wednesday. And we're really looking for more guests. So we had brilliant Elizabeth Lieber on recently, thanks to Trina and that invitation. And if you're curious about this topic, if you've got something you want to bring on, you've got some ideas, constructive challenge even, as long as it comes from a place of connectedness, reimagining, and wanting to move us forward, we'd love to invite you on. So I'd love for you, Trina and Shahana, to add to that invitation your own way before we disappear today.
Go ahead, Shana.
Yeah. Anyone who wants to be a part of this co-creation journey, anyone anywhere in the world who wants to literally co-create a world where many worlds fit together. It was never meant to be a hegemony. It was always meant to be pluriversal. Welcome on board. Welcome, and welcome to our show.
Yes, and it's a place of non-judgment. So, some of these principles and ideology may be just so foreign to you, and you have questions. I coach people in that space, and I can tell you, over this year and a half, especially, I have more and more people saying, I'm hearing and feeling what you are saying as you guide me more and more. And it's bringing peace to me. I'm feeling like my alignment is coming back into place. And that's what it's about. We need to realign away from one narrative and idea that doesn't take us as a whole in mind. Of course, you can have different ideologies and beliefs and things like that, but as long as you're not harming yourself, the planet, and other people, we can all live together. And that outer part is an illusion anyway. you know Color didn't exist, white didn't exist until late 1600s, and it was all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yep.
So let's just wake up to that and create a new world. So please come on if you want to share.
Woo. Much love to you, Trina. Much love to you, Johanna. Much love to all of you. If you've turned up, watch this back. do drop us a note, and we'll see you on the 17th of May. Take care, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
See ya. Bye.
All right. That was awesome.